Hello friends, it's Lisa and I'm back today with a review of the Avery Elle watercolors. They come in these little plastic jars that are kind of like eyedroppers. Here are the 10 colors. It does not include a black or a brown color, and they're very light, soft colors. They are beautiful, but more on the soft range than some of the other liquid watercolors we're going to be looking at over the next week. What I'm doing is taking this, I think it's called Glamper. I'm at the beach right now, so I don't have everything in front of me, but I think it's the Glamper stamp set from Avery Elle. And I decided I would just make a stamped scene using this Glamper and try out. So this is my first try ever with these liquid watercolors. I'm only using them. I'm going to try out a bunch of different techniques, but first I'm going to stamp the card, so I thought I'd show you that. I'm going to heat emboss it, so what I'm going to do is use this powdered embossing tool that keeps the embossing from sticking anywhere except for where I stamp. Then I'm going to stamp with some Versamark black Onyx Blacks ink. That's what I'm doing now, and I'm using my Tim Holtz stamp positioner because, like you can see there, I don't always stamp perfect. So I really like stamp positioners for that reason. Now I am putting on some clear embossing powder, and I'm going to heat this up. I have a new heat gun, which is a Wagner, but it's more of a professional model than the crafter model, but it holds nice in my hand and it heats up really fast. Off screen, I'm actually making a couple of these, so that's why it's a little cutty, because I'm making quite a few. I did put on some masks that I cut out with my Scan and Cut. If you want to see a video on that, I have that a couple weeks ago. I will try and link it at the end if you want to see how to make masks like this real easy. I'm also gonna mask it one more time. I'm stamping this first camper, and then I'll stamp the other camper on top of it. It takes time to actually stamp things this way, but layering images really gives the picture depth and dimension. Instead of looking flat, it looks like you have dimension. So that's why I went to all the trouble, and if I'm going to go to all the trouble, then I'm going to go ahead and stamp a couple. It's kind of my philosophy. I'm also stamping this on Strathmore Bristol Smooth paper. I don't remember the weight, but it's just the regular one that you get at the store. So I've heard that it's really good. I found it very nice, but if you scratch it even just a little bit by accident, you do get a little bit of scratching. I guess you can get that in. Oh, here are the colors. Pause the screen if you want to take a closer look. The Sugar Plum is the one ink I wasn't super thrilled about. Right there it looks really good, and on its own it looks fine, but it is a very light purple. So if you're wanting a true purple, I would totally recommend getting all of the Avery Elle colors. And if you can only get one liquid watercolor and you really like these colors, I would go with them. But I would also get a black, a brown, and a purple from one of the other companies, just because those are missing. You can make brown, and I'll do that in an upcoming video with the Avery Elle colors. I'm not sure that I made it here, but I do make it in the future. I just skipped into double time mode, so you're seeing me painting twice as fast as I did it actually in person, but figure you didn't want to watch 45 minutes of me painting this picture. So here, I forget what color. I want to say it's mimosa and lemongrass that I'm using. The other color that Avery Elle doesn't have a pure color of is the yellow, but the lemongrass comes real close, and with the colors that they chose, it really works well as either a yellow or a green. So I wouldn't say that's a downside. If you do use a lot of pure yellow, you might want to get that from another company, but hopefully they'll be coming out with some more colors. I really liked the Avery Elle liquid watercolors. So I also really liked the color range that they had. It's very soft and muted and comfortable. It's a very comfortable set. I think it's a great starting place if you're looking to get into watercolors. So here's the lemongrass. I'm going to paint some more of it on. I decided to go ahead and do a desert kind of scene since I had that cactus. Here I decide, I'm going to paint some green, and then I decide no. Since there's really only one pure green, which is that celery color, I really wanted the cactus to stand out as the one green element, the one main green element. So I go back and add some more color to the ground. The ground is a work in progress, and you'll see that. Right there, I was putting water on the paper to pull the edges of that ground color out. It worked somewhat, but not perfectly. Next, I'm going to add this fizz color and some of the mimosa to try and start the background, which, if you've ever seen those like Arizona stone structures, I don't know what they're called, but that's kind of what I was trying to do. There's one that's like an arch, and so I wanted to capture that. Now, I did want to have a defined horizon point, and that's what I was trying to do there. First step I'm doing is blocking in the color, and I want to be able to have the background different from the foreground. I'm going to need to have two different colors, one on the ground and one on the background. So I'm going with a darker, more reddish hue on the background as opposed to the lighter hue of the foreground. I will darken the foreground, but I'm going to keep it light. Since I'm doing these rock structures, I'm going to want to add some definition, and that's what I'm going to go through. Well, here, first I'm adding some darker shadows, just blocking out some shadows. But when I do go back in, after that has dried, I'm going to add some striations horizontally that will give it the look of sedimentary rock. So everything is dried, and I'm coming back now and adding some additional colors in. This is the cherry, and it's a very poppy red. It's fun. The fizz as well. Here is where I'm going back in, like we were just talking about, and adding some of those striations. One thing about the liquid watercolors is that without any water, that is the strongest color you're going to get. You can make slightly darker colors by mixing them with their complementary, or if you have a black or a brown, you can add a hair of that in. It'll make it darker. But the most vibrant color is what you're going to get right out of the bottle. And I don't think of that as a negative, because there's a point with any watercolor, even tube watercolors, which is right when you take it out of the tube, that's the most vibrant it's going to get. But you just have to know that. So if these kind of colors are the ones you're going to be using a lot, then I'd say go ahead and get them. I am really happy with the Avery Elle watercolors, and if they come out with any new ones, I plan to get them. But if you are a jewel tone kind of person, or you like the very primary colors, there's some other liquid watercolors that might work better for your aesthetic. Next, you can see here I'm adding in those striations, and if I'd done it while it was still wet, they would have just blobbed out and it wouldn't be as intense or get the definition. That's something I have to remember, is you have to let things dry to get more definition. Wet into wet is really great for creating the base of your picture and hazy backgrounds, but wet onto dry or dry onto dry is going to give you much better definition. So here I've decided that the sun is kind of coming in from behind, and I'm adding the colors, or the shadows. As I'm looking at it now, I realize I have the sunlight coming from the left for the background and from behind and on the right for the foreground. So, but it's just a fun, easy picture. You will see that I just am watercoloring around that fire, and that lightens up just around the fire because the fire is a light source and it's going to make that area brighter. Also, that gives it kind of a smoky look, and you'll see that in the end product. Now, we're going to move on to adding some green. Here's the celery again, and I'm actually using this to try and in the concentrate to give me the shadows that are needed for the back of this, as well as adding some dots in to give it a little bit more texture. You can go in at the very end and with some white gel pen and add some of the little prickers and give it more detail that way as well. Since the flamingo needs to be pink, I just took the cherry and watered it down. I thought the little lawn flamingo was adorable. I thought this set is very cute. I decided this whole liquid watercolor thing started when I was looking at the subscription box a month or two ago from Hero Arts, and I was like, oh, should I get it? Should I not get it? It looked amazing, but it just wasn't really my style. So, but I did see they had liquid watercolors, and I wanted to try some. So that snowballed into this month-long extravaganza of all these different watercolors and reviews on all the liquid watercolors. Oh my gosh, there's just so much upcoming. I'm so excited. Here I'm adding some brown that I've mixed with some of the different colors. You can actually get a brown. It just takes work. I personally like having an actual brown in the repertoire just because it makes things easier, but you can make brown. If you mix complementary colors, or the oranges and reds can make a good brown, you can do that. Anyway, so I went to the Avery Elle website, put all of the watercolors in my cart, and then I was like, oh, I should get a stamp set so I can do this, test it out on the stamp set, because that's what I did with the Hero Arts ones as well. And I bought a bunch of stamps. One didn't quite seem to be enough. You saw when I showed you the little cards of each of the colors, that's a Avery Elle stamp set as well, the fuchsia stamp set. So, and before my house fire had a bunch as well, but still building up my stash. So these were the first couple that I've had since my house fire. So I remembered how much I liked the Avery Elle company and their aesthetic. I decided for these campers, normally, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't put as many colors, as many variety of colors in this picture. I would have probably done the camper in the green, probably a lighter green, with the aluminum looking sea glass color, and then had the other camper be similar as well, because you don't want to have too many different colors. But I did want to try all of the different colors, so that's kind of where it came in. So I went with a red and a blue camper for the boxy camper, and a blue and turquoise look for the more round camper. I'm not sure that I'm really doing any fancy watercoloring techniques on these. I just wanted to get the color down. Since I had such a good background going, and I'm going to add a sky here in a little bit at the very end, you can have too much going on in a picture. You want to focus on what you want people to focus on. Now, if you're doing a super fancy forever picture, you may want to put the time in and put details and everything. But I'm thinking this is going to be a card. So here it is. So I focused on what I focused on and didn't worry so much about getting everything perfect. You can, of course, do that, but you may also want to have a life at some point, which is okay. I missed talking about it, but I did add the fire down below, and that is an easy gradient where I just dropped in the red on the bottom, the orange on top, and just gently mixed it together. Very gently. Watercolor is going to move on its own. With some other mediums, such as acrylic and oil, you have to manually move the medium around. Watercolor, by the nature of water, likes to move around and is going to do it if you help it along or not. So you have to be a little more gentle and a little more patient with watercolor than you need to be with other mediums. Here I'm adding that sea glass, and it looks pretty aluminum-y to me. If I had a black or a gray, I would have added just a hair of that in and used a little bit more for the details and shadow, and it would have given that even more. I thought this would be good for the windows as well, to kind of give it that glossy effect. It was a little light, and you'll see I go back and add some additionals later. Next, I'm going to add the aquamarine on the top, and that's kind of a turquoise color. Simple coloring, just adding it in. You'll remember that I'm going twice as fast. This video is sped up to twice the speed that it actually occurred, so I'm coloring this in slowly. I'm also using an Arteza water brush pen because it saves some time. I personally feel real brushes do better than the plastic nibs of the water brushes, but the water brushes are just so easy. You just fill them up. If you want to clean the color off, you just squeeze it out and rub it on a cloth. I use microfiber cloths. I go ahead and just get them from Walmart, from the car detailing section, cut them down, and they're so easy. I also use them to clean my glasses because they are the best glasses cleaner. If you wear glasses, you may have the problem I have, where you get smudges on them all the time, or you have a small child in your life who for some reason find glasses immeasurably interesting and need to grab at them all of the time, and they get little children smudges all over them. So I really like the microfiber cloths, and they really just suck up the color in the water, and you can clean your pens really quickly. Here I'm adding that darker color. Remember when you're using watercolor that it dries back. The color isn't quite as intense once it's dry. So you might be saying, whoa, you went a little crazy, heavy-handed there, but it actually dries back and it looks very nice. It actually looked better than I thought it was going to. So I'm adding some more of that turquoise because you want to, like I was saying earlier, I like to have less number of colors on a picture than I have on this one. And I like to use the same colors over again. It makes the painting feel similar. That's a really cool thing about these liquid watercolors. The different companies have their own tones, the tone families that they're working in. And so all of the Avery Elle colors are going to work really well together. You can see here that I'm trying to do a little bit of a brighter yellow, kind of orange color. That's why I added the lemongrass and mimosa, I believe. And I'm just trying to bring that in. I'm not sure I loved that color, but like I said before, I would have done that back camper in a few different colors if I hadn't wanted to add all of the colors. I wouldn't say that you can't get all of them and use all the watercolors together. That's on my list of things for this month, so wink wink, hint hint. But the good thing about going with one company is you're going to get that tonal color range, and the colors are going to look good together. It can also be that's why it can also be intimidating when you get some of the tube watercolors from some of the artistic companies like Daniel Smith or Magello, because they have so many colors, and you may say, what colors should I get? And then you get them and you're like, what do I do? I like the liquid watercolors because they're so easy, and they make making a card or an art project fun rather than stressful. You just pull the colors. If you get stressed picking the colors, just pick the colors from one company and you're good to go. So I'm adding this purple door because I hadn't used the purple, and you can see that the purple is a very light purple, and this is it wet. As it dries back, it's a very light lavender color. If you're wanting a deeper purple, I would go ahead and get another purple. So really the only drawbacks to the Avery Elle color line is they don't have a black, they don't have a brown, and their purple is a little iffy. Finally, I'm adding the sky, and I'm just making lines and kind of blocking out clouds. That it's really simple. The sky always seems like it's so stressful and how can I do this and that kind of thing, but it's not. You can do what I'm doing and just kind of blocking in lines of clouds. If you look up on Google and just look, say you're doing this that I'm doing, this same kind of Arizona Southwest kind of picture, just search for those and look what clouds they have and just block in the clouds. You don't have to add shading to the clouds, you don't have to do anything. It's just that simple. Then you let it dry, either with a heat gun or air dry. And there we go. That's it. It turned out amazing. If you want to see these pictures up close, head to my blog. Otherwise, go ahead and subscribe if you're interested in seeing the Hero Arts, the Pink Fresh, and the Dr. P.H. Martin reviews, as well as there's like 2 or 3 comprehensive reviews. And have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by.